Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is the 1871 Philadelphia Athletics National Association Baseball Champions. 1871 was the first year of Major League Baseball because it was the first year of a national professional baseball league, the National Association, which lasted 5 years before it made way for the National League. So the National Association of Baseball Players, this was their first season. Every team was professional, and this was a first. And the championship team for 1871 was the Philadelphia Athletics, who played at the Jefferson Street grounds in Philadelphia. And they finished in first place with a record of 21-7, winning percentage of .750. No playoffs, so by finishing first, that meant they were the champions. The second place team was the Chicago White Stockings, who were 19-9, 2 games out of first. Third place, the Boston Red Stockings, 22-10. Fourth place, the Washington Olympics, 16-15. Fifth place, the Troy Haymakers, 15-15. Sixth place, the New York Mutuals, 17-18. Seventh place, the Cleveland Forest Cities, 10-19. Eighth place, the Fort Wayne, Indiana Kekiongas, 7-21. And in ninth and last place, the Rockford, Illinois Forest Cities, who were 6-21, winning percentage of .222. The Philadelphia Athletics started in 1860 as an amateur club, of course, and this was their first year professional. I'm reading a fine book. The title is Blackguards and Red Stockings, A History of Baseball's National Association, 1871 to 1875, William J. Rissick, 1992. The National Association was the first pro baseball league. So the first National Association game was the first Major League Baseball game. That was May 4th, 1871. Cleveland played at Fort Wayne, Indiana. Bobby Matthews was the Fort Wayne pitcher, and James Deacon White was the Cleveland hitter. It was only 45 feet between the pitcher and the hitter at that time. The players wore no gloves. In that first Major League game, Fort Wayne defeated Cleveland 2-0. There were problems in 1871 in pro baseball with gambling, drunkenness, rumors of fixed games. Now, it is a myth that Abner Doubleday invented baseball at Cooperstown, New York. People like that myth. There's a belief that baseball was invented in the 1840s by Alexander Cartwright in New York City. In 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings were the first pro team, and they traveled the country playing amateur teams and went undefeated, winning 57 and losing on no games. Now, in the National Association, 25% of the players were from New York City, 15% were from Philadelphia, 10% from Baltimore. At the Rockford, Illinois ballpark, a number of trees were behind home plate and in the outfield. On October 8th, 1871, there was a fire in Chicago from end to end, really devastated the city. 17,000 buildings were destroyed, 150,000 people homeless. The White Stockings ballpark was burned to the ground. Many of the players were ruined. All but 2 players had their homes burned, and the banks burned, and their savings of the players were destroyed. The National Association champions, Philadelphia Athletics, had a strong offense. They led the league with a .310 batting average. On August 13th, 13 runs per game. The league, they averaged 13 runs a game. The league average was 9.8. I'm reading another fine book, The Father of Baseball, a biography of Henry Chadwick by Andrew Schiff, 2008. Henry Chadwick sparked a cultural revolution. He revolutionized sports. He was baseball's first real reporter, correspondent, and writer. He invented sports journalism and presided over baseball's rules committee and invented baseball statistics. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, inducted in 1938. Henry Chadwick advocated sobriety, morality, and the health benefits of sports. For 5 decades, he covered baseball and was the game's moral conscience. He advocated fairness, truth, and honest play. He fought gambling, alcohol, and illegal drugs. Chadwick was baseball's greatest promoter. He was also a New York Times cricket journalist journalist, he believed that he could make baseball the national game in the United States, and he succeeded. He schemed to educate Americans about the importance of outdoor recreation. The New York Clipper newspaper in 1857 hired Chadwick to write baseball game summaries. Chadwick was born in 1824 in England. His family immigrated to the U.S. in 1837 and settled in Brooklyn, New York. Chadwick promoted baseball to improve the well-being of individuals. He was also a musical composer and wrote the Grand March Pianoforte dedicated to Major General Winfield Scott. Chadwick was a champion of the RBI stat. He invented the box score. His ideal baseball player could control his temper and had joy playing baseball. And President Andrew Johnson attended a game in 1867, the New York Mutuals against the Washington Nationals in New York City. So President Andrew Johnson was the first president connected to baseball. Now with the 1871 Philadelphia Athletics, Dick McBride was the captain and pitcher, the only pitcher on the team. Dick McBride was born in 1847 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and died in 1916 in Philadelphia at age 68. For his career, he won 149 games, lost 78, ERA of 2.71, and 227 complete games. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics amateur team from 1861 to 1870, and then the Philadelphia Athletics pro team from 1871 to 1875 as player-manager. He also played for the Boston Red Stockings in 1876. Of course, he won a National Association title in 1871. In 1875, he was replaced by Cap Anson as player-manager for the last 8 games of the season. In 1876, the Boston Red Stockings in the National League, he was 0-4, and that was the end of his career. He was in the U.S. Civil War in the Union Army. On a 3-day furlough, he participated in baseball exhibitions in Brooklyn and with the Philadelphia clubs. In 1871, as a hitter, he batted .235, 31 hits, 36 runs scored, 3 doubles, 17 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 7 walks in 25 games. As a pitcher, he was 18-5 with an ERA of 4.58, 25 games, all starts, and he completed every start. 222 innings pitched and 15 strikeouts. Dick McBride. Fergie Malone was the catcher. Malone batted .343 with 46 hits, 33 runs, 7 doubles, a triple, a home run, 33 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, 9 walks in 27 games. Fergie Malone was born in 1844 in County Tyrone, Ireland. He died in 1905 in Seattle, Washington at age 60. For his career, he batted .274 with 1 home run and 160 RBIs. He was an amateur player from 1864 to 1869 for the Philadelphia Athletics, Keystone of Philadelphia, Diamond State Baseball Club of Wilmington, Delaware, the Quaker City of Philadelphia, and he was a National Association professional player from 1871 to 1884 for the Philadelphia Athletics, Philadelphia White Stockings, Chicago White Stockings, Philadelphia Keystones. In the National Association, he was a manager from 1873 to 1884 with the Philadelphia White Stockings, Chicago White Stockings, and Philadelphia Keystone. Malone was one of 4 Irish natives to play in the first National Association season, and one of 5 Irish players to play in the first National League season. Malone was mainly a catcher. Catching was a demanding position at that time. There were no face mask and no glove. Gloves and masks for catchers were adopted for regular use by some players beginning in the late 1870s. In 1874, Malone was the highest paid pro baseball player with a salary of $2,800 a year, equivalent to $63,000 today. He was a U.S. Civil War veteran, served with Dick McBride. He was a private and corporal in Company A of a 196th Pennsylvania Regiment. Fergie Malone. Wes Fissler was at first base. Fissler batted .279 with 41 hits, 43 runs scored, 8 doubles, 2 triples, 16 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, 3 walks in 28 games. Wes Fissler was born in 1841 in Camden, New Jersey, and died in 1922 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at age 81. He was a first baseman and second baseman during his career. For his career, he batted .310 with 2 home runs and 189 RBIs. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics as an amateur player from 1866 to 1870, and then back with the same team, the Philadelphia Athletics, from 1871 to 1876 in the National Association. He was an infielder, outfielder, threw right-handed. In 1872, he hit .350. Fissler is credited with scoring the first run in Major League history on April 22, 1876. Well, that's another definition of MLB, being the beginning of the National League. He had 414 career hits, 124 games at first base, 120 at second base, 35 games in the outfield, and a game at shortstop. They called him the Icicle, Wes Fissler. Al Reach was the second baseman. Reach batted .353, 47 hits, 43 runs scored, 7 doubles, 6 triples, 34 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in 26 games. Al Reach was born in London, England, United Kingdom in 1840, and died in Atlantic City, New Jersey in 1928 at age 87. His playing career, he batted .247 with 56 RBIs. As an amateur player, he played for the Brooklyn Eckfords from 1861 to 64, the Philadelphia Athletics from 1865 to 1870, then as a pro player in the National Association with Philadelphia Athletics from 1871 to 1875. He was a National League manager with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1890. He was an Anglo-American sportsman, an early baseball star of the National Association, an influential executive, publisher, and sporting goods manufacturer, baseball spokesman. He helped establish the Philadelphia Phillies and was team president from 1883 to 1899. He was similarly to Albert Spalding. He formed a sporting goods company and earned millions of dollars. Reach sold his company to Spalding in 1889. Reach was the trade name of the game balls that baseball in the American League used until 1976. There's a Pennsylvania historical marker dedicated in 2003 at 1820 Chestnut Street in Philadelphia for Reach's contributions to baseball. Al Reach. John Radcliffe was the shortstop. Radcliffe batted .303 with 44 hits. He scored 47 runs, 7 doubles, 5 triples, 22 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 6 walks in 28 games. John Radcliffe was born in 1848 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and died in 1911 in Ocean City, New Jersey at age 65. For his MLB career, he hit .282 with 2 home runs and 113 RBIs. He played amateur baseball for the Philadelphia Athletics and Keystone of Philadelphia from 1868 to 1870. Then he played in the National Association from 1871 to 1875 for the Philadelphia Athletics, Baltimore Canaries, Philadelphia Whites, and Philadelphia Centennials. He led the National Association in games played and at-bats in 1872. In 1874, he was expelled from baseball. He offered an umpire a $175 bribe to help the Chicago White Stockings win a game. John Radcliffe. Levi Meyerl was the third baseman. He batted .492 with 64 hits, 45 runs scored, 9 doubles, 3 triples, 4 home runs, 40 RBIs, 4 stolen bases in 26 games. Levi Meyerl was born in 1849 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and died in 1921 in Philadelphia at age 72. For his career, he batted .356 with 10 home runs and 278 RBIs. He played amateur baseball for the Geary of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Athletics, and the Chicago White Stockings from 1867 to 1870. And the National Association playing career went from and his MLB career, he played from 1871 to 1884 for the Philadelphia Athletics, Philadelphia White Stockings, Chicago White Stockings, Cincinnati Reds, the Philadelphia Keystones. He was the National Association home run champion in 1871 with 4 home runs. His .492 batting average in 1871 is an MLB record. His fielding average was .646. His nickname was Long Levi. The minors, he played for Springfield, Rochester, and the Washington Nationals. He also pitched a little bit in 1871, had no decisions, an ERA of 9.9, 1 game, 1 innings pitched, and 1 earned run allowed. In an 1874 game, he had 6 errors in 1 game. Levi Meyerl. Count Sensendorfer was an outfielder. Sensendorfer batted .323 with 41 hits, 5 doubles, 2 triples, 23 RBIs, 5 stolen bases in 25 games. Count Sensendorfer was born in 1847 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and died in 1903 in Philadelphia at age 55. For his MLB career, he batted .299 with 34 RBIs. He played amateur baseball from 1866 to 1870 for the Philadelphia Athletics, and then in the National Association for the Philadelphia Athletics from 1871 to 1874. His father was a carpenter. He got the nickname the Count because of his mustache and aristocratic air. After retiring from baseball, he served 2 terms as the Philadelphia County Commissioner. He was an active member of the Democratic Committee in Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania Democratic State Committee. In September of 1869, Sensendorfer had a knee injury attempting to steal second and was out for the season, was never the same player again. Count Sensendorfer. Ned Cuthbert was another outfielder. Cuthbert batted .247 with 37 hits. He scored 47 runs, 7 doubles, 5 triples, 3 home runs, 30 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, 10 walks in 28 games. Cuthbert was born in 1845 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and died in 1905 in St. Louis, Missouri at age 59. For his MLB career, he batted .254 with 8 home runs and 182 RBIs. He played amateur baseball from 1865 to 1870 for the Keystone of Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Athletics, the Chicago White Stockings. And in the National Association, he played for the Philadelphia Athletics, the Philadelphia White Stockings, the Chicago White Stockings, St. Louis Brown Stockings, Cincinnati Reds, St. Louis Browns, and Baltimore Monumentals from 1871 to 1884. He was a National League manager in 1882, player-manager for the St. Louis Browns. Reportedly, Cuthbert stole first base in a game in 1865. He waited till the pitcher was distracted. I guess they let him keep first. He died of endocarditis. In the minors, he played for the Indianapolis Blues. Ned Cuthbert. George Hubel was another outfielder. Hubel batted .307 with 23 hits. He had 75 at-bats, 18 runs scored, 4 doubles, 2 triples, 13 RBIs in 17 games. Hubel was born in Germany in 1849 and died in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1896 at age 46. For his MLB career, he batted .255 with 14 RBIs. He played amateur baseball from 1867 to 1870 for the Quaker City of Philadelphia, Geary of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Athletics, and Cleveland Forest Cities. And in the National Association and MLB from 1871 to 1876 for the Philadelphia Athletics, Washington Olympics, and New York Mutuals. As I said, he was German background. Hubel was an umpire in the National Association in 1875 season. In 1876, he was a National League umpire and played in 1 game also. In 1887, he was the Allentown Peanut Eaters, with the manager of the Allentown Peanut Eaters in the Pennsylvania State Association. Later, he was a groundskeeper for the Philadelphia Phillies. In 1894, he was held responsible for a fire at the ballpark and fired. He also worked as a clerk. He had an accidental death from a fall. George Hubel. George Bechtel was a bench player. Bechtel batted .351 with 33 hits. He scored 24 runs, 9 doubles, a triple, a home run, 21 RBIs, 4 stolen bases in 20 games. George Bechtel was born in 1848 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and died in 1921 in Philadelphia at age 72. For his MLB career, he batted .277 with 165 RBIs. As a pitcher, his one-loss record was 7-20. He was a right fielder and pitcher, and he played amateur baseball from 1867 to 1870 for West Philadelphia, the Geary of Philadelphia, Keystone of Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia Athletics. In the National Association, he played for the Philadelphia Athletics, New York Mutuals, Philadelphia White Stockings, and the Philadelphia Centennials and Louisville Grays from 1871 to 1876. He was one of the leading pro baseball players of his era, the first Major League Baseball player suspended for life for intentionally losing games for money. On May 26, 1875, Bechtel and Bill Craver were sold to the Philadelphia Athletics for $1,500 by the Philadelphia Centennials, the first known sale of baseball players from one team to another. In 1871, as a pitcher, he was 1-2 with an ERA of 7.96, 3 games, all starts, 2 complete games, 26 innings pitched, and a strikeout. George Bechtel. Tom Pratt played some first base. Pratt batted .333 with 2 hits and 6 at-bats. He had an RBI in 1 game. Tom Pratt was born in 1844 in Chelsea, Massachusetts, and died in 1908 in Philadelphia Pennsylvania at age 64. He played amateur baseball from 1861 to 1868 for the Philadelphia Athletics, Brooklyn Athletics, the Quaker City of Philadelphia, and Tri-Mountain of Boston. And he played pro baseball in 1871 for the Philadelphia Athletics. After he retired as a player, he had an extensive career as an umpire. Tom Pratt. Nate Birkenstock played some outfield. He had 4 at-bats without a hit, 3 strikeouts in 1 game. Birkenstock was born in 1831 in Pennsylvania. Died in 1900 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at age 67. He played amateur baseball from 1863 to 1866 for the Philadelphia Athletics. Pro baseball in 1871 with Philadelphia Athletics. He was the earliest born MLB player. This was the one pro game he played in, and he decided the first Pro Baseball League championship. He was Jewish. The New York Clipper said Birkenstock, quote, was not a pretty player, being heavy and clumsy, but does good service and generally managed to hold any ball thrown to him. In 1871, Birkenstock was 40 years old, out of baseball for 5 years. He was needed because Count Sensendorfer was injured, and he made the final putout of a game. He served in the U.S. Civil War. He enlisted from 1866 in 1862. In 1885, at age 53, he played in an old-timers game, the Athletics and the Brooklyn Athletics teams. Nate Birkenstock. Tom Berry played some outfield. Berry batted .250, 1 hit, and 4 at-bats in 1 game. Tom Berry was born in 1842 in Chester, Pennsylvania, and died in 1915 in Chester at age 72. He played amateur baseball from 1867 to 1870 for the Philadelphia Athletics and pro baseball in 1871 for Philadelphia. He served in the U.S. Civil War and died of tuberculosis. Tom Berry. So that's the story of the 1871 Philadelphia Athletics, the first MLB championship team. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.